Team Israel, it's a chance for the underdog to get a crack at the big dog.
It's not about my career.
You guys aren't unknown anymore.
It's not about any of our careers.
And you thought all our people could do was finance.
It's about something bigger.
That's a clip from a new feature-length documentary called Heading Home, The Tale of Team Israel. It's a true underdog story about Israel's national baseball team competing for the first time in the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Now, the film opens in theaters in New York and Los Angeles next week, and there's a sneak preview at the Jacob Burns Film Center in Westchester, New York. That is coming up on September the 4th. One of the directors of the film, Jeremy Newburger, joins me now. And Jeremy, first of all, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
It's an interesting story, and I get that baseball fans or sports fans would have a natural interest in this, or the Jews or fans of Israel would have a natural interest in it. Sell it to everybody else. What's the hook for anybody else out there? Why should they check out the film?
I mean, it's an underdog story. It's a Cinderella ride through a tremendous, sports competition. I showed it out in California to an audience of mixed, both Jews and non-Jews. And this one lady, she stood up and she said, "I want to tell everyone I'm not Jewish." And there was a gasp. And then she said, "And I hate baseball." And everyone was like, "Well, what you doing here?" And she said, "But I cried that whole movie." So I think it touches everyone. It's a story of accomplishing your dreams, and these are nice Jewish boys, so they're very pleasant to be with for an hour and a half.
I don't know if that blurb will fit on the poster. That's a little wordy or under the marquee.
Right.
Despite the biases and stereotypes that are out there about Jews and athletics, there's actually a history of notable Jewish athletes. I remember the movie Airplane has a joke about a pamphlet for famous Jewish athletes because there's so few of them. But there is a history of it. How important do you think the success of the Israeli baseball team was for Jews and for Israel?
I think that Jews in America, for sure, love baseball. I think that the sport really pairs well with Jews. I mean, for starters, many of us find a baseball game because we're brought by our grandparent or our parent. So it's passed down from generation to generation, not unlike the Torah. Then there's all of these traditions and customs in baseball. There's a seventh inning stretch. What Jew doesn't like the rest in the seventh? And then, of course, you got to get home. That's the whole point of the game. It's like my mom created this game. So I think that the Jews in America, they're all in for this. In Israel, it's a different story. They don't really love baseball there yet. They like soccer and they like basketball. So it's going to take some time before it catches on there.
Plus, it leads to it's like just ripe for arguments and debates, which is also a very Jewish custom as
yes.
well. Now you mentioned the popularity among American Jews, and a lot of the players were actually American Jews with fairly loose ties to Israel. And there's a clip of how the team went about finding the players. Take a look.
The great challenge was finding the guys without the Jewish names.
Ty Kelly with his first major league home run.
My dad's side of the family is Irish and Catholic, and my mom's side of the family is Polish and Jewish.
By chance, a guy called me up. My kid had a yarmulke on, and Ty Kelly came over, signed some autographs, and said he was Jewish.
I got an email from Peter Kurtz asking if I had a Jewish grandparent, and the rest is history.
New Yorkers might remember Ike Davis. He was the first baseman to play for both the Mets and the Yankees. He's from Minnesota. He was on that team. Jason Marquis, a pitcher formerly of the Washington Nationals, was the ace of the staff. He's from originally Manhasset, Long Island, played in the Little League World Series. Here's my question. Having American Jews with loose connections to Israel playing for Team Israel, does that devalue the accomplishment of the team, or does it actually enhance the value of that accomplishment?
I think it enhances it. I think the rules are the rules. There's the heritage rule with the World Baseball Classic, where you just have to be eligible to be a citizen of the country to play for the team. I mean, the Netherlands had Gregorius from the Yanks. He lives on an island, not really in the Netherlands. So I think that they played by the rules of the tournament, and therefore it was legitimate by my standards, by the standards of baseball.
The team was the 41st ranked in the world, qualified among the top 16 to get into the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Why do you think it was successful?
everyone hates the Jews, so that's why they were so rated so low. No, I think that it was a bit of a misnomer. The guys that ended up on the team that competed in the World Baseball Classic, they weren't Team Israel for the 4 years of seasons in European competitions. They were ringers. They were brought in. They were drafted. So when they got there, everyone said, oh, they're so lowly rated, they're not going to do anything. But these guys were like Ike Davis and Jason Marquis and Ty Kelly and Josh Zide. These guys had been journeymen in the minor and the major league systems. So they believed that they would do well. So it was surprising to many, just not Team Israel. They knew they were going to compete. But they did much better than I thought they would do. That's for sure.
What was the value to the players? Was it simply in being able to represent Israel and finding success that way, or getting in touch with their heritage? Did it help? Did any of those players wind up back in the major leagues or in the major leagues? Did it help their careers?
Yeah, some of them have floated back in and out of the major leagues. It didn't do as much as we had hoped it would do for some of the other players, and a lot of them have retired and now are in front office jobs. But I think for these guys, they didn't go to like Jewish sleepaway camps, and they didn't. Many of them didn't have bar mitzvahs. Some of them were, just by marriage or by distant relative Jewish. But connecting on their trip to Israel, which we filmed for the first half of the film, there was quite a transformation in some of these guys, where they started to connect with this faith and come to grips with being recognized as Jews and what that means, and to represent Israel on the world stage. And I think that was really special for a lot of the guys. None of them are like Lubavitch now as a result of being on Team Israel. But I think they all can be proud of their faith and have that connection, because like you just heard, people are asking for autographs on yarmulkes. Jewish people know they're Jews and are coming up to them at these games afterwards. So they're Jewish by audience decision.
Final question, Jeremy. Is there a lasting impact from this? The players, maybe it's internal for them, maybe it helps their career a little bit, but will this spur baseball in Israel or baseball's international baseball team? Does it help the country? I mean, what does this mean next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Well, it already has. As a matter of fact, some of the guys from Team Israel are now trying to qualify for the Olympics 2020 in Tokyo, including Ty Kelly, who you just featured in that last clip. In order to be in the Olympic team, you have to be a citizen of Israel. So about 15 or 16 guys have already gone to Israel and become dual citizens in order to compete. And actually, the weekend my film opens, in Germany, they're trying to become one of the top 5 teams. They've already won 8-0. That's their record so far. So I think they're going to make it to the Olympics. And then, of course, in 2021, Israel's already qualified for the World Baseball Classic based on how they did in the tournament that we feature in my film. So I think we're starting to see it percolate. It's going to take time until there's little leagues. The country only has 3 fields at the moment. 2 of them are in construction. So it's going to take time. But I think we're at the beginning, the tip of the spear in terms of baseball catching on.
Jeremy Newburger, the film is Heading Home, the Tale of Team Israel, opening soon in New York and Los Angeles. And head online to check it out, or we'll have some information on our line as well. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll be right back to wrap things up right after this.